Hey, someone give me some cliff notes as to where we dropped off. But I am truly, truly mortified for you guys that you missed the last 8 minutes. Because I just went on a tear that I don't think I've ever been on a tear like that before. I was absolutely dropping pearl after pearl after pearl, rubies, perfect rubies, fucking Aladdin's cave on your ass for the last 8 minutes straight. I didn't even fucking take a breath. That was a fucking 8 minute breath hold. That was an 8 minute fucking breath hold. I did not fucking stop. I've never been in the zone like that before. So hold on, let me read my DMs. Someone's gonna tell me where we ended. That was gay as fuck. So listen, this shit's gonna get truncated, obviously. I have no fucking clue where we left off, but I was in the middle of telling you that some of the remedies that have been recommended need to be discarded immediately on right-wing Twitter, which is if you have any of these symptoms that I was talking about in your gut, fermented foods are your enemy. They're going to metastasize and exacerbate the issue. I can fucking promise you this is a fact. Do not do sauerkraut. Do not do probiotics. Do not do fucking kefir. Do not do fermented foods. That does not help you whatsoever. It makes the problem fucking worse. Makes the problem worse. Um, I was saying that the fucking your gut is a miniature cosmos, right? It's a fractal. It's the universe. It's the universe. Remember those fucking dioramas you used to make in school? Those little dioramas, those little fucking portraits. That's what your gut is, but even more so than that, it's a fucking snow globe. It's the totality of the universe confined and closed in a sealed vacuum. You got everything down there. You got fucking avalanches, chilled ice, category 5 hurricanes. You got derechos. You got fucking everything going on. Tsunamis. Like I said, wild forest fires. You got every fucking universal force exists in your gut, which is why it's the mainframe and it's the control panel for the entire perception of the universe. Anything you think that's ethereal or celestial or magical, it's all coming from your gut, baby. It's all coming from your gut. It's a biomechanic. It's a biomechanical overlay is what you're experiencing. Now, I understand the universe is a magical place, but without a gut, you would have zero capacity to ascertain or understand any of it. So understand this, the universe is an extension. It's an extension. It's a virtual reality dream transposed from the information going on in your gut. You are a human being. Human beings eat meat. It's that fucking simple. This debate has been long squashed. Human beings eat meat. Stop eating nuts. Stop eating seeds. That's bird food. Rodents and fucking birds evolved to eat seeds. It's not good for you. I don't give a fuck what your study says about cashews making you happy. I don't give a fuck. Walnuts, it's all nonsense. It's incomplete protein, high in omega-6 fats. They're an atrocity. Stop eating fucking nuts. If you have skin issues, which I know 99% of the planet does because I walk around on this earth every motherfucking day and look at my fellow peers. Everyone's got skin issues. Your skin will extrude out any toxicity in your body in the form of acne. If you have red bumps, white bumps, pustules, don't give a fuck what it is, anywhere on your body, face, back, skin, anywhere, it is an extrusion of the damage going on in your gut. That's a certified fact. That is a certified fact. And once that vacuum gets sealed, that acne goes away very quickly. There is nothing on the planet you can take to heal your gut. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. BCP 17, BCP 40, whatever the fuck compounds you want to make up in a laboratory. There is nothing you can take to heal your gut. Your gut gets healed by elimination only. Fasting is the greatest health protocol ever known to man. It just is. If you genuinely have a vested interest in healing the inner mechanisms and intertwinings of your gut, you go on a fucking 4-day fast. That's what you do. You go on a fucking 4-day fast. I haven't done it because I'm too vain and don't want to lose my fucking muscle. But if you are not vain, if you're not of the vain ilk, and you want to fucking really, really do some fucking healing in your body, You do a fucking 4-day fast minimum. That's what you do. So the gut heals by elimination. There's nothing you can take. You can take all the probiotics in the world. I promise you, the acids and shit in your esophagus is gonna nuke 99.9% of that capsule before it even hits the fucking end zone. Before you even get a touchdown, you're already fucking nuked out of the sky. So don't waste your time. Probiotics are garbage. So is kombucha. It's another fucking gigantic waste of time. Sauerkraut, all those fermented foods, nonsense. It's gonna rape your fucking gut. You're gonna feel like a motherfucking Wolverine is chewing on your intestines. You're gonna feel like a badger infiltrated the control room and is literally hacking and slashing at your fucking intestines. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. The bad dreams one is the most interesting. Is the most interesting because I know I'm leading the frontier on this one. I'm trailblazing this bitch. There is, I can almost fucking guarantee you that it's not even humanly possible to have a nightmare if your gut is healthy. Now, it's extremely complicated. There's a lot of fucking things going on in the body that do exacerbate these issues. Cortisol, high stress and shit, that also wears the fuck out of your gut. It wears the fuck down out of your gut. And cortisol alone, by the way, in high doses can also put these micro tears and perforations in your gut lining. That can happen. If you're someone who's redlining adrenals all the fucking time like I am, then you can have that problem for sure. When I was trying to fucking front run Voltaire. Voltaire was doing 12 cups of coffee a day. There was a time I was doing like 13. Most horrific nightmares you've ever fucking witnessed in your fucking life. The day I stopped drinking coffee, nightmare's gone. Shit like that. Just being a fucking rebel. Just throwing my body through the fucking ringer and the gauntlet so I could extract this fucking wisdom. It's all there. It's all prevalent. I've also seen this in my peers. When friends of mine and loved ones have gut problems, I always drop this knowledge on them, and the shit gets cleared up in less than a week. All of a sudden, their skin's better. All of a sudden, they fucking think clearer. All of a sudden, they're fucking just the whole fucking machine just functions so much more well oiled. Human body's a fucking monster, but you're like I said, you're fucking. You want to talk about the fault line? You want to talk about the epicenter of the human body? It is your gut. It just is. It's the like when your gut is freaking out and you lose that connection to your brain, your body literally offsets resources and it puts all your resources towards gut repair. So it just obliterates Maslow's hierarchy. You know what I mean? Like you want to fucking stick a fucking you want to stick some TNT in Maslow's hierarchy? You flip that motherfucker upside down and obliterate it. Shelter, the need for sex, hedonism, pleasure, all that shit's going out the window when you got gut problems. It's all going out the window. People talk about lethargy. People talk about feeling sleepy in the morning, groggy, not being able to get out of bed. All these signs and symptoms. Your gut is raped. Your gut's raped, and that's what happens. And when your gut is raped, what happens is it inverts. This is the most fascinating component to it that I've discovered is it inverts day and night. So at nighttime, you're supposed to get a good night's sleep because cortisol is low. So your stress hormones are supposed to be low right as you're going to bed, right? Well, you know what wakes your ass up in the morning and gives you that zeal and that ferocity to go attack the day? It's cortisol. So cortisol is supposed to ramp up in the morning and you get stressed out, and that's what wakes you up. It's the stress hormone. Stress hormone gets you out of bed. So motherfuckers that can't get out of bed but are up all night, their shit's reversed. They got high cortisol at night, high stress hormone, and they got no cortisol production in the morning to get out of bed. That's a gut problem, my friend. That is a certified gut problem. You got micro tears. You've been slamming coffee. You've been doing all sorts of crazy shit. There's other little things too, and we're getting kind of Hubermanistic on this one a little bit. There's other little things that do poke and prod the bear and do awaken the terror in your gut. And one of them is if you have acid reflux, you cannot drink carbonated drinks. Makes it 100 fucking times worse. So that the truth is, to really heal the gut, it's a process of elimination. You become sort of an ascetic. It's a very monk-like process of reduction. You understand? It's reductionism. It's not adding things in. It's not being fucking neurotic and thinking supplements are gonna help you out. It's gonna make it worse. It's gonna make it way fucking worse. And like I said, after every meal, you should 100% be feeling like you're on a fucking trolley. You should be on a fucking trolley on your own 2 feet, fucking running around and walking and just keeping that pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is fucking incredible. The things that happen in the pelvic floor, you're throughout the day, that third world squat that people sit on their haunches for hours in the third world countries. They have zero remnants of spinal degeneration. They don't get spinal disease over there. They have zero herniated discs. They don't have nearly the fucking mental health conditions we have because their pelvic floor and their gut motility is off the chain. So they're able to really digest food. And what it does is it gives you a solid identity. It gives you a solid identity. Anytime you're tampering with the gut, there's gonna be maladaptations in the actual personality itself. This is what happens to people. When people go absolutely ballistic and they lose their mind, it's not that they lost their mind. It's that they lost their gut. It's that they lost their gut, but philosophers and medical people haven't really been able to fucking wrap their head around this yet. But I'm telling you that metaphor is going to change in the next 10 years. It ain't going to be motherfuckers losing their mind. It's going to be you lost your gut, buddy. Because we all know the hardware in the brain is durable. I've seen it firsthand. Men can deal with almost anything at an emotional, cerebral level. There's really nothing that's that painful in there. But when that gut is fucked up, you just want to add insult to injury. It's salting the wound big time. Big time. I do believe, too, that these gut perforations and indigestion and shit, I do think it 100% does lend itself to the sort of the ADHD thing that I was going to talk about. Inability to concentrate, shit like that. Um, look, there's just some forces of nature that you just can't bury, right? There's some life forms, there's some men, even when they're boys, it really doesn't matter how bad the programming or how bad the environment was they grew up in. It doesn't even really matter how bad the diet they grew up on. You could formula feed these motherfuckers, and they just have this resilience and this resolve that whatever their genetic destiny is gonna bud. It's gonna bud in the face of whatever drought or rains like can't irrigate that natural process. We see it over and over again. There's outliers. There's people that just can't be squashed. Like you can literally throw the book at them. You can throw the sink at them. You can do everything you can to extinguish them from fulfilling their destiny. And they're just a very tenacious genetic life form. You know what I mean? I mean, you can go back to the school systems, polluting your mind with false information about history, growing up on fucking frosted flakes, shitty diets. Some motherfuckers are just very resistant to it. Like there's no propaganda, there's no food, there's just no source. You can try to contaminate them all you want, and it just doesn't fucking stick. It doesn't take hold because some of those life forms are just extremely fucking tenacious. There are fucking outliers that do that, 100%. But the average person, and it doesn't take a statistical genius to understand that probably 85% plus of the people in here are probably average people. You do not have the luxury of tampering with these mechanisms without severe consequences. It's just what it is. And so you should not make your gut an underprized thing. You should 100% take some consideration for what I'm telling you. Anytime you fucking overload your body with systemic inflammation, which by the way, I knew systemic inflammation was the health battleground 15 years ago. Way before it was mainstream. When motherfuckers were telling me I was gonna die at 29 of a heart attack for eating fucking pure animal fat. I used to go to the butcher and I would get free trimmed animal fat because the common person has such a cultural revulsion to fat. They would give me the fat and I would use the steak as the shot and I would use the fat as the chaser at my nightly meals, and I would just eat globs, actual fucking globs of animal fat. I'd put it in a fucking skillet and fry it up. It's fucking delicious. It's fucking delicious. It's wholesome as fuck, and it does obviously have compounds that help your gut. in ways because it's the satiety. Fat is extremely fucking satiating. So if you consume a lot of animal fat, you really don't want to eat fucking cookies and fucking donuts, whatever the fuck motherfuckers eat for dessert. You don't want that shit. But every time you get systemic inflammation from like a seed oil or sugar, especially refined sugar, that systemic inflammation really, really takes a toll on the fucking gut lining. So I mean, look, I've been saying it for years. The diet is so fucking easy. The only thing you really care about diet is being on a low inflammation diet. Okay? And the only low inflammation diet out there that exists is an omega-3 rich anti-inflammatory diet, which is in the form of saturated fat in animal foods. It's so simple. It's the least inflammatory diet you can eat. Your body is factory installed with all the enzymes, digestive forces to handle all the fats in meat. It's readily digestible. Completely. Completely. It doesn't even go to your colon, by the way. It doesn't, because it just gets digested so easily. You know what does rot and ferment in your colon, though? Like, I remember this fucking retarded myth. You guys probably heard this when you were younger. They said that John Wayne died with like 2 pounds of impacted shit in his gut. Comical. Comical if you understand anything about biology in the human body. If you even had a fucking quarter inch of impacted shit in your body, you'd be dead. It's not possible. Number two, only vegetables and cellulose and indigestible fiber go to your colon for fermentation. Meat never makes it there. That's why when you take a shit, you're never going to find steak or a meat in there, but you will find other weird shit from vegetable matter. You understand where I'm going with this? So you really, really want to go easy on your colon for health. That's why vegetarians have the highest instances of colon cancer by motherfucking far, because their colon is constantly inundated with the task of removing fermented foods from it all fucking day long. Vegetarians have the highest instances of colon cancer. Vegans have their fucking teeth fall out. Oral health. Oral health is 100% connected to your gut health. It's an extrapolation. Every single thing going on in your mouth is an extension of what's going on in your gut. It is identical. I fucking identical. If you have periodontitis, if you have gum inflammation, that is a gut problem. The acids, like I just told you, the sulfuric acids, the medley of forces that are clashing in your gut create a slurry, okay? Creates an acidic slurry that you don't even know is coming up in your saliva. It's like ooze. It just seeps in, right? Comes in like a thief in the night. This slurry of toxicity from the shit going on in your gut, I'm not even joking, has a corrosive effect on your roots. Motherfuckers with root canals, bad teeth. You have a major gut problem, my friend. You have a major gut problem. Your teeth also connect up into your brain, the roots. The roots connect up into your brain. Your tooth, if you look at a man's teeth, it's a reflection of his mental health. I promise you, you can bet the ranch. If you ever see a motherfucker with fucked up teeth, and I don't mean crooked teeth, I mean fucked up teeth, like discolored, yellow, shit like that, fucked up grill, has horrific mental health. Holes being bored in his fucking brain like the ozone layer. That's the type of shit that's going on. You know how we talk about the fractal? I got metaphors upon metaphors upon metaphors to explain to you what's going on with these forces of nature in the body. It's all so fucking connected. If your teeth are immaculate, when you floss, if your gums don't bleed, that's a really good indicator that your gut is healthy, by the way. It's a good indicator. You should have zero gum inflammation. By the way, brushing your teeth does not make your breath fresh at all. At all. You know what gives you good breath? Having a healthy gut. Having a healthy gut. All those gaseous fumes that come up from your gut. Anytime someone has bad breath, it's from gut dysbiosis. It's from the shit going on in your gut. I don't give a, you could brush your teeth with a horse mane for 25 minutes with pure fucking spearmint ground up I don't give a fuck what you brush it with. You are not freshening up your mouth if you don't have a healthy gut. Your gut mediates and has its own cleaning system for the mouth, obviously, because where the fuck do you think your saliva comes from? If you have calculus on the back of your teeth, if you have plaque, if you have tartar, and it builds up quickly, you have a gut problem, my friend. You have these perforations. You're doing too much. You're slamming too much caffeine. You're eating shitty fucking foods that are tearing your gut apart. People that have a premium gut and don't have these problems, they don't even have to fucking shower or brush their fucking teeth. They can do it every fucking 3 days and they smell better than you. They smell better than you. It's a fucking fact. Your mouth remains fresh as fuck. It has its own self-cleaning system if your gut's perfectly healthy. It's just how it works. If your gut's perfectly healthy, you don't have body odor at all. Zero. None. None to speak of whatsoever. You'll just have your kind of like natural built-in scent that women like anyway. What kind of fucking manner are you throwing fucking deodorant on your fucking skin? That's a fucking joke. You know what I mean? It's no different than the Kardashians eating a fucking horrific diet for 25 years and they think they have us all fooled because they've just plastered over it. They've literally just poured fucking liquid concrete over all the damage that's been wrought on their body. Those chicks are fucked. Look at the plumbing. If you looked under the hood and the plumbing in their bodies, those chicks, I guarantee you, have like 15 years to live max. They got the worst fucking diet I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. But they've just plastered over it. They've just literally fucking paper mache and fucking just literally fucking tarped over it for years and years and years. And now you got young chicks thinking you can fucking get away with eating ding dongs, cupcakes, and ice cream sandwiches every day and drinking fucking bottomless mimosas. And you'll look like them if you just get your makeup done. Nah. That's not how that works. The plumbing in the hood is completely fucked. By the way, it's the same thing for women. If you ever catch even a remotely unpleasant scent from a woman's vagina, I'm talking even remotely unpleasant, that's a gut problem, by the way. Has nothing to do with her pussy at all. It's a gut problem. That's how powerful the fucking gut biome is. The smells and the fucking stenches, the shit that fucking erupts from a bad gut. Like I said, it's the fucking epicenter. It's a fucking fact. Once the female repairs her gut, all those fucking smells disappear. They go away overnight, by the way. Crazy shit. A lot of look. This is really gonna fucking blow your mind. Injuries. Common ankle sprains. Common ankle sprains. You're walking. You got proprioception. You're walking on a plot of grass at night. You can't see. There's sprinkler systems. You're moseying. You're cruising. Right. You hit a divot in the grass. You hit a divot. Your ankle rolls. It misfires. Your body couldn't propriocept. You couldn't keep your balance. You fucking rolled your ankle. That's a gut problem, my friend. That is a fucking gut problem. I am 1000% certain because in a vacuum sealed body that's functioning at 100% capacity, your body don't make mistakes. It doesn't misfire. Here's another one. Car accidents. Motherfuckers that are blasé and oblivious and driving totally fucking oblivious to what's going on in their surroundings. And they fucking, people that get into frequent accidents. It's a gut problem, my friend. It's a gut problem because the brain don't make mistakes when your gut's sealed. That's a fucking fact. Blunders. The wildest blunders you've ever seen throughout humanity. People operating heavy machinery, people falling off of fucking ledges, construction sites. The wildest shit beyond your wildest dreams and imagination that you could even comprehend happened from misgivings and misclicks and misfires and empty firing blanks from the fucking gut to mind connection. That's how perfect the human body really is. It don't make those mistakes when it's operating at 100% capacity. I'm telling you, your body doesn't just roll its own ankle like that. You know what I mean? Basketball court's different, obviously. It's a fucking collision sport. Sometimes you come down and step on someone's foot. Okay, you rolled your ankle. I'm not saying that's a gut problem. But common injuries, household injuries, that is a fucking gut problem. When people are clumsy, when people are clumsy, constantly dropping shit, breaking plates, can't get their life together, always in disorder, always disheveled, their gut is fucking nuked. It's fucking nuked. I'm telling you. It's fucking destroyed. And it's overtaking their entire life and they have no fucking clue why it's happening. And it's a fucking gut problem. Being a klutz. Common injuries. We've talked about dental health. We've covered the whole fucking gamut. It's the fucking most interesting. Like, how the fuck are you not fascinated by the gut? I call the spaces the gastronomy of the eye. There's nothing more fucking interesting than this shit because it's fucking true. It's real. This shit's happening every fucking day. Motherfuckers are misfiring, having mental blunders, doing faux pas. You know what I mean? Making fucking mistakes, stuttering their words. People that can't fucking speak clearly. People that fucking stumble over themselves. They got fucking gut problems. And it manifests in very myriad ways. And look, let me wrap this bitch up. Here's my fucking theory about why the gut does all this crazy shit when it's fucked up. Because the body is dying. And so what happens is in nature, when there is a serious issue within a population, okay? Let's take America, for example. You got a mental health crisis in America, right? People can't get it together. It's falling anvils and grand pianos in America at all times, right? There's hysteria. People are glued to their TVs waiting for the next bad news, right? That's what's going on. So what happens is when you have a host population that is identified by something that's endemic, like let's say gut health is fucking thrashed because the food supply is so fucking rancid and tampered with, right? What happens is nature is so clever. Mother Nature, the baddest bitch on earth, she's so clever. What she does is she turns the whole population into a Frankensteinian Mary Shelley experiment. And so what happens is the body starts to develop personality disorders, maladaptations. People splinter off, develop weird fucking dissociations from themselves. Because what nature's doing is its last gasp. Nature's trying to cleave and clutch and force some sort of mutation that basically someone's going to go totally crazy. And in that last gasp, in that final drive at the stake, someone's going to strike gold and do something prolific with whatever personality change just occurred. So the body's just going to fucking experiment the fuck out of you. It's going to turn you into a Frankenstein. You're just going to become a monster. This is actually what's happening to people. This is actually 20, 30, 40 years. We're very early, by the way. Like this gut thing hasn't really been a problem until the post-industrial revolution, but the consequences have really sped up since Reagan, since I'd say about the 70s. And what's going to happen is nature's always going to battle to the extreme. So it's going to start experimenting on men, which are the experimental sex. Nature does its best tricks on men, right? So because people's guts are so fucked up, nature's like, you know what? We got to start making people go crazy. We got to drive them crazy because the organism's dying. So the organism, in a last ditch effort to save itself, is going to develop these super compensations. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to give one motherfucker a crazy fucking bloated ego, hoping that with the ego he can salvage a situation. It's going to give another guy fucking higher IQ. He's going to go fucking crazy, become a mad genius, go on to fucking, invent some fucking crazy medicine that saves the world. That's what's happening. So the experimental battleground from nature's in the gut. And when you have a population that has that shared identified experience, and what's so crazy about the gut is no one even knows it's their gut that's causing these problems. No one has the faintest fucking clue that it's all stemming from this. You get these weird fucking mental pathologies as a response, as a defense mechanism to fight against the organism that's being punished, the organism that's being punished and pulverized on a daily basis. You know what I mean? It's that last gasp. The end of those movies, the horror movies, when you see a hand in a vat of acid and you think the fucking monster's dead and you see the hand pop up again. That's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. It's the hand poking out of the ooze as a last gasp. And so you're going to start to see a lot more horrifying mental disorders as this becomes a fucking problem. Because the brain is literally a slave to the gut. It's a fucking slave. If you've ever had anxiety or that feeling of crawling out of your skin, you know that there was no self-talk, there was no mental program you could download that could get you over that experience. You know what I mean? That's the proof in the pudding right there. The gut is so fucking powerful that if you fuck it up enough and you get one of those, I hate this shit, by the way, because I don't believe it's true, but a quote unquote panic attack, that's really fucking soy and really gay. You got to have been done some serious fucking damage to yourself to get a panic attack as a man. If you do find yourself in that anxiety induced state, you know that you were overpowered and you were submitted. You were submitted by a force that you couldn't even fucking reckon with. You couldn't even dream of going toe to toe or training to fight a foe that powerful because it's inside you. It's inside you. And that's where the great reckoning comes from. It all comes from inside you. So those feelings and emotions, and by the way, modern day anxiety has never been previously experienced in any sort of preeminent culture or even prehistory. I double dare you to scroll through the tomes and find me a literature piece where someone describes the same type of bitch ass anxiety that you hear people describe today. You won't find it. It's a completely unique experience. It's a new strain. It's a new strain of anxiety. Men felt tremendous fear and regret and remorse and the pantheon of emotions that's always been there. It's been a part of the human animal. But there is a new strain of anxiety that has been previously unknown to humans. And I would say it's reared its ugly head in the last 20, 30 years. And men are wrestling with it hard. Men are trying to articulate these experiences. There are grown men that are fucking jacked to the gills, men that you respect, that are having these types of anxiety attacks and panic attacks and shit that you'll never find it in the entire annals of history. And if you read Dostoevsky, if you go back far, if you read some of these incredible authors that articulate the human experience and the human emotions, you're not gonna fucking find it anywhere. But you'll find everything else. You'll find everything fucking else. You'll find every fucking people have that shared experience for millions of years. You're not gonna find this one. It's that bizarre. It's that bizarre. And I'm proffering to you that it is because of the gut crisis. You know what I mean? There's the sedentary culture. Motherfuckers are sitting around, got no gut motility. Plus, they're fucking nuking the shit with Coca-Cola. It just goes on and on and on and on. And then, everything affects one another. Similar to how if you ever had a mild injury in the gym, you know what I mean? Like if you tear your calf muscle right now, if you tear your calf muscle, that's gonna affect your bench press. You ain't gonna be as strong on bench press tomorrow if you tear your calf muscle, because the body is that connected. So if there's a severance, if there's a weak link in any of the chains, the whole body suffers. The whole body suffers, and that's exactly what's going on here. I just talked about how the gut is the epicenter, right? And then the oral health starts to deteriorate, and then the brain starts to deteriorate, and then everything else starts to get necrosis, and everything else starts to kind of affect itself. But the root of the problem, the lightning in the bottle, the lightning rod, was always the gut. It always was, and it always will be. It always will be. And like I said, I think what's interesting about it is nature is such a dice roll. It's such a gamble that there's no doubt that there are certain people that have benefited tremendously from having a fucked up gut because of what I just said. There's outliers that because they had a fucked up gut, they developed some sort of supra compensation. Some sort of super compensation, whether it was a psychic device, whether it was an extra personality, some sort of freak out in the body did induce a super compensation that's actually making them operate better than they would have been had they not done it. But that's very rare. It's very rare. Most people are going to suffer and be punished and decimated from this health crisis going on. Most people will be annihilated from it on a long enough scale. On a long enough scale. I mean, look, we can get into a debate all day long about the cultural proliferation of the gays and the trannies and shit. I think a lot of it's bogus. I personally don't notice any greater volume of gay people when I go out than I did 20 years ago. I think it's extremely stilted. I think it's extremely propped up narrative by the media. I think the media is incredible because if they hyper focus on something long enough, they can get you to believe fucking anything. I do not believe there's been an aggressive influx of gays and shit. I think it's pretty much the same as it's always been. It's probably a little bit more exhibitionistic now than it was, whereas it used to be more on the periphery of society. People used to hide it better. So I think people have just brought forth that comfort. I think homosexuality is pretty much the same. But my point is, if there is a proliferation of it, it's 100% gut related. If there has been a proliferation, it's gut related. That's a fucking fact. Let's move on to ADHD, my fucking favorite topic. I made a very, I almost want to say tongue in cheek. And what was good about this post is it was somewhat satirical. But if you're deeply self aware, you could kind of see the truths in it. That post that I did the other day about symptoms of ADHD, being a bull in a china shop. You know what I mean? Like the human experience of having that deficit disorder. Um, it's look, ADHD. Best way I could describe it to you. It's the original gaydar. It's what it is. It's the original gaydar. Anything that is unnatural to the biological organism gets rejected and swiftly denied. What I mean by that is stupid rules, stupid things in society that are artificial, that have been erected as boundaries or rules, little playgrounds, little playpens that adults can play in. Motherfuckers with ADHD reject. They reject those aspects of society. They reject the bureaucracy. They reject the red tape because your brain simply does not want to do anything that's mundane, anything that's remedial, anything that's trivial, anything that's elementary, anything that's rudimentary. Your body doesn't want to fucking deal with it. And in that way, it actually is a superpower because once you do harp and focus on something that you do care about, you have a greater capacity to focus on it than any motherfucker walking. That's a fact. That's a fact. But when it comes to doing dumb shit like filling out paperwork, waiting at the fucking DMV, kills you. It's a soul sucking killing experience. You cannot do it. You will let your room get so untidy, but there's like an OCD component to ADHD that's interesting. Like, let me give you an example. You'll be living in your own mess, right? It's kind of like your own mess. Doesn't mean you're dirty, it means you're untidy. Two very different things. You can be untidy and very clean, okay? You'll be living in your own mess, but you have your own mess under control, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like you might look at a stack of papers in your fucking corner of your room right now and you're like, you know what? I know there's a fucking banana peel under that fucking third paper. But an onlooker, an outsider looking at the pile couldn't know that. Like you'll know where everything is within your own mess. That's one of the hallmarks of ADHD is like you have this supreme reign over your environment. You become an absolute fucking control freak. I'm telling you, like you could literally have strewn fucking papers, manila folders, notebooks, color coded tablets ransacked all over your floor. And you'll be able to tell me, look, on that third page, that shit's there. Like you just have this uncanny hound-like ability to just know, to just live within your own mess. But if someone else, if an outsider comes in and interferes with the mess and introduces a new miscellaneous item to the mess, you don't like it. You don't like it because you're a control freak. You're a control freak. I've also noticed motherfuckers with ADHD, um, and this is kind of another contradiction of opposites here because it's interesting. You could be very athletic, right? You could be extremely coordinated. You could be even an elite athlete. But when I talk about the mundane, I want you to really understand what I mean about the mundane. I'm talking about the efficiency of the way that you move through life. Okay? The conservation pattern that you instruct in your life is what I mean by the mundane. So for example, if you are lurching or lunging forward to go do something, right? Let's say you want to jump in your car and go on the fucking go for a drive. You got somewhere to be. The trajectory from the time you leap out of your fucking chair to get in the car, your spatial awareness as someone with ADHD is going to be really, really fucked. Like, you might fucking clip your shoulder on the side of the fucking counter. You might fucking kick a fucking you might literally might fucking kick the corner of a fucking chair, stub your toe like 2 times on the way to your car because you're a bull in a china shop. It's like the number one, and you're not gonna hear this in a textbook. This is just from my own experimentation and fucking analyzing other motherfuckers with shit like this. You're not gonna find this as a symptom, but it's a fact. If you find yourself bumping into shit all the time and it doesn't even phase you, like you walk in through a door jam, hit your shoulder, like I'm not talking crazy. I'm just talking about you're brushing your body against things throughout the day, right? As you're walking. It's because you're so zealous and so fucking fired up and excited to get to your passion or get to the things that you care about that literally time and space even takes a back fucking seat. I know plenty of you know what I'm talking about. You'll be navigating, you'll be walking around a table. You're a highly coordinated athletic motherfucker, but you might fucking clip the fuck out of your fucking side on the corner of a chair multiple times a day. This shit'll be happening. You'll be losing your wallet in the fucking couch cushions. Your keys will go missing 5 times a day. You just chuck them. You walk in, you just chuck them wherever. You just chuck them wherever. Now, look, my theory on the misplacing shit, because I know a lot of guys can relate to this, misplacing little fucking knickknacks and shit that doesn't seem important. I think it is a way of creating manufactured excitement. It's hilarious. Like, look, people that are very gifted, can easily live with ADHD. Most people that are cucked are going to it's going to have a suppressive effect. We just talked about forces of nature. We talked about how nature does its best experiments on men. There are gifted motherfuckers who, if you give them ADHD, it's not going to fucking slow them down a bit at all. Okay. But the thing that I want you to understand the most is people with ADHD, I believe, don't care about the organization of their life, and they don't care about having a key ring and throwing it up. They don't care about organization because for them, the simple excursion of going on the hunt around the house just to find the fucking wallet 4 times a day is like, it gives them life. It's a very purposeless exercise, but what it is it's powering up the coils of energy. So like, someone without it has the opposite effect. They experience lethargy, right? But someone with ADHD is always in that mania. They're always in that manic state. Manic motherfuckers rule the world in 2023. I'm here to tell you this. It's people with mania. You don't ever want to come down from the mania. You don't want to be a manic depressant because the depressant side is miserable. But people who are manic and exploit the fuck out of their manic episodes, they're the ones making all the magic happen in the world right now. So check this out. The body is so clever and intelligent. People with ADHD are typically gifted. Typically they are. Typically they're smarter than average. Losing your shit and constantly having to retrieve and find your own shit 5 times a day, you're whipping yourself up into a frenzy, right? You're creating like a miniature fucking hunt for yourself. By the time you retrieve your keys, you're already up on your feet. You've already been running around the house like a fucking chicken with your head cut off for 5 minutes. You're already moving on to the next task that actually is important. And that's the thing, is people with ADHD need an exciting life to bridge the gaps between the time they sit down to do something important and the time they sit down to do something they don't. So they'll manufacture little dramatic fucking scenarios, like losing their keys 5 times a day. Because an earnest person would look at someone who's talented and gifted and be like, why don't you just get a fucking key ring? Like, why don't you walk in the house and just put it in the same place every day? It's because the person with ADHD isn't interested in that level of organization. They like the thrill. They get a kick out of misplacing shit, right? And that's a very trivial example, but it's not. It's very deep. If you look inside that insight, there's a depth to it, because the way that these people are bridging the gaps from the times that they're bored, look, it's existential boredom. Go read about the Byronic hero. Go read about the Byronic hero. It's an archetype that's spurned out of the philosophy of Lord Byron. And the Byronic hero, the hallmark characteristic is these motherfuckers have existential boredom. Existential boredom. They're so smart. They're so perceptive. They feel that they've beat the game of life. They don't, and it's not a monetary thing. It's not even money. They don't even need. They don't need the carnal pleasures or desires that ordinary people don't. They feel like they beat the game of life because they know, because they pretty much have the code cracked. They understand the psychology of women. They understand why their friends do what they do. They understand themselves. They have high self awareness. So it creates this existential boredom, right? Where you just kind of feel like you have everything figured out. Maybe I'll go pick a fight today. Maybe I'll go and do a fucking duel. Maybe I'll gamble today. Shit like that. These pathologies usually develop from gifted motherfuckers who are existentially bored. Existential boredom is something that's very prevalent in 2023. Of course it is, right? Because the society at large, nobody wants to work anymore. Working is pretty much dead. By the way, working hard in America, I know like half a dozen motherfuckers working hard in America. Most people right now are just riding the decline until the fucking wheels fall off. You're these people on Twitter that are giving you this fucking grind porn. Nobody's really working hard anymore. Nobody is. It's a fucking myth. Total fucking myth. Because it's not an edge. We live in a society now where soft power reigns supreme. Hard power doesn't. So like motherfuckers that are trying to fucking I mean, look, you're talking to a guy who believes in the low effort, high risk path. I think that's the hardest, dopest path you can take is the low effort, high risk. I think the high effort, low risk path, like building a company, there's guys that fucking sacrifice 20, 30 years of their life through college and even after building a fucking company from scratch. High effort, low risk. For me, that path has always been whack as fuck. I think that path is actually pretty gay, to be honest. And I understand that it's a necessary part of the ecosystem, right? You obviously need people to build companies so investors can plug their money into. I understand it's a very, very operational, foundational, functional way the world works. So we need people like that. It's just not the path that I ever wanted to go down. So my point in telling you is that I'm a low effort, high risk guy is I have the variance in my life is extremely stark. And I'm experimenting with the idea that I have also developed these personality characteristics at the edges and some of these maladaptations to deal with that life path. And look, I'm under the impression I don't give a fuck what anybody says that no matter what path you take, you're going to end up where you were always going to be anyway. As a man. As a man, your destiny, it really does not matter what path you shove down your throat. It doesn't matter if your parents are forcing a bad path down your throat. It doesn't matter anybody is. You are going to end up at the bottom of the trough where you belong no matter what path you take. It's just a matter of how much wisdom you want to extract along the way. It's what it really boils down to.